This Paint Live TV, I'm Chris the Idaho Painter. Today I'm with another special guest here at Tower Sealants in Georgia, Gainesville, Georgia. So I've got Dale Thomason with me today, and he is one of the original founders of Tower Sealants. And you know, Dale, just to give our audience a little bit about your background, can you just tell me, you know, how you got in this business and how Tower Sealants started?
Yeah, sure. I started in the industry back in 1990 with a company called Lighthouse Products. We were acquired by another big publicly traded company, and I didn't like the direction they were going, so I left out of there, went to work for another company, and then about 2 years into that tenure, I started working on a business model for Tower Sealants.
So, you know, you started off in the caulking industry and making sealants. Why did you start Tower Sealants? What was the big motivating factor?
The big motivating factor was where the industry quality was going in terms of sealants. And we, you know, in my previous career, we had always worked with a pro painter. And, you know, it was very difficult to find a sealant that, you know, that really worked for the everyday painter. So when we started Tower, you know, it was more focused on not only the quality of the product, but the innovation of the sealant itself.
So I gotta say, you know, I was introduced to your guys' products not that long ago, and the very first tube of caulking that I opened up and used from Tower Sealants, it was product Tower Tech 2. And from the initial moment that I opened it up and started using it, I knew there was a big difference. I knew it was a high quality product. I started using it, and it was the best product that I had ever used when it comes to caulking and sealants. And then one of the major things I noticed, which is kind of an epidemic in the caulking industry, is air bubbles, or what we call air pops, in the caulking tubes. And I noticed none of your tubes had that same you know, problem. And so I was extremely impressed with that. But you know, I one of my one of the people that follows us, and he asked a question on Instagram, you know, what separates Tower from the competition? And so could you just, you know,
you know, it's a number of factors. One is the actual formulation itself, you know, that is designed to deliver productivity for the professional painter. The components, the raw materials that we choose, you know, to manufacture the product. The equipment is extremely important. Maintenance, you know, to make sure that and ensure that we don't, you know, we have air-free product. All of our, you know, products are, you know, either transferred or pumped, or when they're mixed, are all under vacuum. So that eliminates any of those air voids.
Which is really interesting to me, because, you know, it really baffled me, because to me it seems like a very simple thing to put some caulking in a tube without air bubbles, but apparently it's not so simple, because I think you guys are one of the only manufacturers that have figured this out. And is it difficult?
It is. It's extremely difficult, and you know, it has to do with the initial viscosity versus what the equilibrated viscosity is, and the velocity in which you fill it. So you know, if you're filling something, it's like an ice cream cone, and it has that roping effect. If you go too slow, that induces air into the cartridge. So you know, and caulks are very viscous, so it takes a lot of pressure and a lot of velocity to get that filled without any air.
Yeah, it's absolutely fascinating to me. And you guys have given me the amazing tour of the factory. I've got to see the caulking being manufactured. I've got to talk to the chemist behind all this madness. And the chemist is absolutely amazing. Stay tuned for that, you know, video coming up, because man, there is way more involved into manufacturing caulking than we actually know about. So I think, you know, the chemist has been involved with this company for quite a few years.
Oh, also. He was, yeah. Rob Standard, he's been with us since the beginning. I've known Rob since back in the 90s. He was a polymer development chemist. And, you know, I was purchasing the polymers from Rob. And when I started talking to Rob probably around 2000 and 4 somewhere along there about starting a business, and he said he was ready to go and was all in. So
yeah, that's awesome. So stay tuned for Rob's interview, because they've got, ask the chemist some crazy questions. We're going to find out, a little bit about what's inside these tubes and what makes Tower Sealants, a superior product. So stay tuned for that. All right, Dale. So what I got here, and I started talking to you, the team, Matt, the chemist. There seemed to be something different about you guys and manufacturing sealants. It seemed like you guys really have a passion for this, and it seems like you guys really do care. So can you just give me and our audience a little insight? What motivates you, and what are your goals here, at Tower Sealants?
Yeah, well, I mean, what really motivates all of us here is the customer. And providing them a product that delivers them productivity that saves them money, where they don't have any callbacks. They can go to the job one time and get paid. The customer service, delivering the product on time, the quality. We love to hear all the good news about our products all the time.
Yeah, I once again got the tour, got the chemist tour, I've got the manufacturing tour, and I was absolutely amazed at the quality control, the passion, what goes into making a tube of caulking here, and how much pride you guys take into it. One little fun fact, and we do have a photograph back there. I see a race car back there, and I saw a wall back here, of some racing photos. I even saw some parts of cars hanging on the wall. You actually raced cars yourself? You were a driver?
Yeah, I raced cars for years. Got into it in 2011, and then it just, it took, the racing got integrated in the business, and I couldn't race anymore because I was too busy promoting it. And
have you ever been in a crash in a race?
Just about every race that I've been in.
And I'm sure like every one of those crashes took a lot of money out of your pocketbook. And because I'm sure those cars aren't, cheap.
It was worth every penny of it.
Yeah, so you enjoyed it. And I do have a box of caulking right here, and this is manufactured by Tower Sealants, and the product is called Accelerator. And the chemist is going to talk a little bit about this product, because it was something I learned. This is something you have to hear, what this product actually does, what it resolves in the industry. It goes back to my controversial methods of caulking your tape. But Accelerator, a little trivia, what was that named after?
It was named after the racing.
After the racing. So Accelerator goes right back to your racing roots and racing cars. That's pretty cool. A little fun fact with Tower Sealants. So cool. Someday, if you ever get in a race car again, you got to put me in the passenger seat. I would love to be in a race car someday.
There's nothing like being in a race car.
Nothing like being in a race car. Cool. So Dale, when it comes to Accelerator versus Tower Tech 2, again, is there any anything that would adversely affect the quality of a fast dry caulking versus one that's a typical dry caulking, maybe 2 hours, 4 hours? I mean,
there's absolutely no difference in the terms of quality. It's just using a different polymer and has different functionality. There's no adverse side effects from using one or the other.
So it's kind of like just making a cake versus a pancake. I mean, they just got different recipes and they serve a different purpose and they taste a little bit differently, but you can have a cake that tastes good and you can have a pancake that tastes good.
That's correct.
I just came up with that myself. That was so I got another question. So you mentioned something, and I know like I've seen this a lot, and this might go back to the chemist, and we're going to be involved interviewing the mad scientist behind all this stuff. And what I've learned from him was absolutely amazing. But I know all this stuff like the back of your hand too. So what does It says exceeds ASTM C-834 standards. What does that mean?
Yeah, it's a specification. There's really two classifications of caulk. There's ASTM C834 -18. That's just a test, but that's for an aesthetic type sealant, where you have ASTM C920 or test specifications for extreme conditions, that type of.
So is that something like I'm a repainter, so I do a lot of residential repaints, interior and exterior repainting. Do I need to be reading these tubes of caulking, and do I need to be looking for that? Is that something I need to be concerned about, or is that for somebody else?
No, you need to be concerned with it, because to make sure that it meets the requirements of the test, so it's paintable, it has a certain amount of flex to it, that it's not, going to turn hard and, turn into concrete after, 3 to 6 months.
So if a tube does not have that on there, then I can assume that it doesn't meet those standards.
Any specification.
So when I'm talking to you a little while ago yesterday, I think there was a lot of these specifications that you have to meet manufacturer caulking, and it seems like you guys always go above and beyond, way above and beyond meeting just those specifications. Yeah, you meet that, but is there some truth to that? Did I understand that
Yeah,
correct?
absolutely. Technology has come a really long way. So where the ASTM, let's just say for example, ASTM C920, it calls for a minimum of 5 pounds of adhesion. That's a peel adhesion. Today's technology is 20, 25, and 30 pounds of peel adhesion. So we take it to the extremes.
All right, so now I asked you this ASTM standard. Now I've grabbed a Tower Tech 2, and this is my go-to caulking. It has a completely different ASTM standard. So it says ASTM C-920. What's the difference between 834 and 920?
Yeah, a C834 is an aesthetic. It's just meant to join two substrates together and give them a smooth transition. It can be used, a C834, can be used in both interior and exterior applications, but the ASTM C920, if you will, is more for extreme conditions where you have high joint movement, freezing, sub-freezing temperatures, high heat, a large daily temperature swing.
So that's a good point. So like a lot of the caulking that we do on exteriors is what I consider aesthetic caulking. So caulking a soffit vents, there's not a lot of extreme movement. It's a vent that's nailed up there, but it just looks nicer if it's caulked. So you can use, one that has an ASTM 34, but if you got siding where two joints butted together, there's going to be a lot of movement.
Correct.
You're definitely going to be looking for an ASTM 920 caulking. So, and I assume there's going to be a little bit of price difference because this is.
Yeah, absolutely. The ASTM C920 products are more, they cost more, and obviously you get what you pay for.
I know it's interesting because now I know the difference. You guys have an amazing handout that people can get to kind of walk them through, what would be the proper caulking, to use where they're using. I always like to keep things simple. I keep two sizes of tape, inch and a half. I keep one size of paper, 9-inch. I keep 72-inch masking film, and I know I just keep this in my van. This is my go-to caulking that I use for aesthetic caulking and extreme joint movement. I like to just keep the process simple, and I'm more concerned about giving my customer a good quality job with good quality products, so I'm not so concerned about saving a few pennies on a tube of caulking. But for those people that margins make a difference, you could look at multiple options. You can have one versus the other, and it looks like you guys got a massive line up of caulking, types of different caulking. Could you tell me how many different caulking products you guys sell? Do you know off the top of your head?
Yeah, that's
a good question, because this is a big
Tower one.
Yeah, I'd have to count them right there.
There's a lot. So we can just say there's a lot of different products you guys sell. So All right, Dale, I've got another question for you, and it's gonna kind of talk about Tower Tech 2, which is the go-to caulking that I use in Accelerator. So I used to refinish and still do refinish cabinets, and one of the things we used to do is caulk the cabinets and paint them the same day. And it's very important to have a fast dry caulking so you can do that process. You can get in and out and paint these cabinets very quickly. But I know you guys didn't manufacture this caulking for me, the Idaho painter. So why did you guys create a fast dry caulking?
Yeah, I mean, let's just say you have a job and it's only going to take a few hours. Maybe it's you got to go in and paint a closet, and you can't wait 4 to 6 hours to before you apply paint. You need to move on to the next job. So the fast dry caulk, the quick paints, are designed so you can get in there, caulk, paint, and move on to the next job.
Yeah, and I see that coming into play, and this is where you walk into a bedroom, a customer hires you to paint just one room, and this one room had some brand new trim, put in there. So you got to spray the trim, and then you got to let that trim dry, and then you got to paint the walls. And so I've got to caulk that trim. So I'm going to caulk that trim. It's going to be dry within 30. It's actually sprayable immediately. You can spray it immediately, and then the trim paint that we paint, we typically can mask on it in a couple hours. So we're going to mask on it, and then we're going to begin rolling your walls. So it's important to have paints that dry fast. It's important to have caulking that dries fast. That's actually going to perform very well. So it's a great product. One thing I discovered about this product is Accelerator. I'm going to go back, I'm going to test it, I'm going to make a video because I've got a lot of people asking me worldwide about this. When you caulk over your tape, so I use frog tape, I'm putting caulking down to get a straight line. I'm painting right over it. And people were asking me, well, what happens if the paint cracks because you're using flat or matte paint? Apparently, flat paint does not crack using the Accelerator product. I've seen some test samples in the lab from the chemist that designed this product, and I'm super excited to test it out. I'm super excited to show my audience because this has been a problem for a lot of people using flat paints, and I think we've got the solution to your guys' problems. Stay tuned for that. How you can paint with flat paints over the top of wet caulking and it not crack. So that's going to be something you'll want to check out that video when you're done watching this video. All right, so it's been an awesome opportunity talking to you, Dale, and thank you very much for having me here.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for giving me the grand tour of the facility and giving me a lot more understanding of what it takes to manufacture caulking. There's so much more involved. There's so much more involved in making the best products out there, and I appreciate your passion. I appreciate your guys' hospitality, bringing us here. And if the audience, if you guys got questions, I'm sure Dale and the staff will be monitoring this video. If you got any questions about caulking, just leave them down in the comment section below. Anything and everything, caulking and sealant related, just throw it down in the comment section below. I'll bet Dale would appreciate it if you gave him a thumbs up, on this video. So would I. It's what motivates us to keep doing this. And like we always say, thank you, Dale, for having us here. We'll see you on the next video.